Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big Dan's channel. I am, of course, as always, Big Dan, and today I am going to be reviewing Knock at the Cabin, the new M. Night Shyamalan, I think I've said his name right there, yeah, M. Night Shyamalan film, which at the time of me filming this actually only released yesterday when I went to go see it. So, I will admit that this is the first film I've watched at the cinema in 2023, and that's just like released this year, at least in the UK. And honestly, I could have started with much worse. It was a very solid film, and out of my Letterboxd account, which there'll be a link to in the description, as well as on my about page, um, it is out of all the films I've watched this year, like including ones that released previous years that I've just never seen before, currently it takes second place because it was very solid. It just had good stuff in it. Dave Bautista's in it, if you didn't know. He has a very solid performance. Rupert Grint, he was a surprise one. I didn't realise he was going to be in it. He's an interesting character. Yeah, he's kind of there. I don't know how to describe him really, without going into spoilers territory, which obviously I try avoiding doing because I'm trying to review this for those who haven't seen it. It has a nice parallel stories type thing going to it as well because the two guys who are the couple, Eric and Andrew, it gives you exposition in it as to sort of like some of the reasoning as to sort of why they might not want to like save the world because they're gay. So the it shows some like the abuse of the face and stuff like that, which is actually quite an interesting take on it because obviously I know I don't personally experience anything like that because I'm a straight man, but I'm aware that it does happen as much as I wish it didn't. There is one problem with the film, which is that it doesn't really give sort of any exposition as to why it was specifically them that had to be the ones to choose someone to sacrifice. I remember saying before to someone before I went to go see this, I said to them, if it doesn't explain or at least elaborate a bit more why it happened, like the reasoning behind it, then it would drag me score down a little bit, which it has, because I like the mystery behind it, but at the same time, it's like, I want to kind of know a little bit more about it. However, M. Night does have a cameo in the film. He's in like a little TV interview in the background at one point. There's also this thing revealed about it later on, and I guessed it before it was revealed, where they're kind of like meant to be like the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the four of them. So that was quite an interesting theme, and I like how they included that. Um, they weren't quite what you typically associate the four horsemen with. Well, at least my knowledge of what they're typically associated with, but they were still pretty good. And this is easily one of M. Night's, like, when you think of a director sort of like catalogue of films, this is probably going to end up being like a modern classic. That is one of them where when his name comes to mind, this is one of like the first you think of because it's very memorable. And like the film, as I said, is just rightly paced overall. Yeah, overall, despite the problem of, maybe Rupert Grint not having as much and the lack of sort of extra exposition, the film was still a very solid watch. It wasn't predictable. Like, I didn't know where this thing was going to go. Pacing's about right because it's a bit of a shorter one because it's only an hour 40. Um, it was an enjoyable one to watch with Matthew because I went to see it with Matthew from Blue Web Network. And so for this reason, I give Knock at the Cabin an 8 out of 10 overall. Honestly, I wanted it to be a 9 potentially, and I was very much considering it being a 9. I just couldn't give it that extra boost because there is a few reasons that I haven't went into here that I couldn't. But if you want to read it on my Letterboxd review that I did on there, you can see them why. But the reason I didn't go into them was because there would have been spoilers, and again, I don't want to give spoilers on a review just on here. So yeah, but yeah, overall it's still a very solid watch, and I highly recommend you go and see it if you have the time and money available to. Really enjoyable film and great way to start the year. And I'm actually going to see Babylon tonight, which Matthew cites as being the greatest film he's ever seen. So I'll see if it holds up for me, because that is good recommendation from him because it's one of the only films he's ever given like a 10 out of 10. Yeah, solid start. I'll see how it compares to tonight. But overall, even if tonight is better, this thing's still very solid, and I recommend you go to watch it because this is actually only the second M Night Shyamalan film I've ever seen after Signs I watched a couple of years back. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say, and I'm out, guys. Peace.